على الكتاب والسنة واتباع السلف الصالح.
To proceed, Ikhwani, when we look at the topic of jinn, we often find that there are a lot of misconceptions, a lot of fairy tales surrounding this creation. As with any element of the unseen, we often find people talking without any proofs and without any evidences. And in Islam, this is something that we are forbidden from. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَا تَقْفُ مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٍ. Don't follow and don't indulge in something of which you have no knowledge. Don't speak without knowledge. Why? إِنَّ السَّمْعَ وَالْبَصَرَ وَالْفُؤَادَ كُلُّ أُولَٰئِكَ كَانَ عَنْهُ مَسْئُولًا. Indeed, the hearing and the sight and all of these things, you're going to be questioned about them on Yawm al-Qiyamah. So we shouldn't speak without knowledge, and we shouldn't indulge in things which we are not knowledgeable of. Why is it important then to look at this subject of the jinn and the world of the jinn and jinn possession? The first thing is, Ikhwani, when we look at their world, it should increase us in Iman. الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ. The Muslim is the one who he believes in the unseen. He has faith in the unseen. This is an unseen world in reality. And so when you study this unseen world and you look at the various ayat and the various ahadith pertaining to them and their world, it should increase you in awe of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It should increase you in fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it should also enable us to better see the glory and the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He has created things that we see, but at the same time He has a creation and other creations which we are unable to see, and they are unknown to us, and it shows us our own weakness. Another thing, Ikhwani fillah, is that in our society now we find that problems with regards to jinn and black magic, they are only increasing, they are on the rise. And as Imam Ibn Baz rahimahullah, he mentioned, he said that as the people, they drift further from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, their iman gets weaker and weaker, then the shayateen and the magicians, they prevail in this society. But I also want to clear misconceptions, inshallah, because nowadays we have become quite a superstitious people. If anything goes bang in the depths of the night, then we attribute everything to the jinn. And so there are two extremes. One extreme is denying the existence of the jinn, denying their abilities, and the other extreme is attributing and blaming every single problem in your life on jinn possession. And so we need to be people who are balanced, and we are in the middle path. Another thing, Ikhwani fillah, we see the perfection of Al-Islam. When we study the world of the jinn, we see the perfection of Al-Islam. We see the virtues of having the correct creed, the virtues of having the correct aqidah, where even the jinn, we are taught what to believe concerning them. And so there's nothing in this world of ours, nothing in our lives that we're going to go through except that Al-Islam, in the book of Allah and the Sunnah of the Messenger alayhi salam, we have the answer for all of our issues. Now I'm going to ask you guys, you brothers and sisters, a question, because I want to gauge what you feel. Is it permissible to fear the jinn, and should we be sat here now fearing the jinn? And I open this discussion to you brothers and sisters. So if the brothers, somebody can tell me what they feel or what they believe. Should anybody here right now be fearing the jinn? So who says it's not permissible to fear the jinn? Put your hands up. Okay, and who says that it is permissible to fear the jinn? Okay, so we have a couple of hands at the back. Okay? In reality, my brothers and sisters, what you need to know is that fear, it falls into 3 categories. Okay? So there is a legislated fear. This is the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The greatest and ultimate level of fear is for Allah Jalla wa ala. To make anybody a partner and to fear anybody the way you fear Allah, this is shirk with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the legislated fear. Then there is a permissible type of fear, a natural type of fear. So here's a question for you then. Is it permissible to be scared of spiders? Isn't that shirk? No, because this is a permissible form of fear. And then the third category is the impermissible, the haram type of fear, where fearing something leads you to do acts of obedience to it, leads you to put its obedience, the obedience to that thing, before the obedience to Allah. Now, where do the jinn fall? I'll ask you the next question. Where do the jinn fall? Is it an impermissible fear or is it a natural fear? It's a natural fear because it's a fear of the unknown. It's a fear of the unseen. However, there is a very strict condition, a very serious condition. It depends on what that fear leads you to do. If your fear of the unknown, that anybody here is feeling a little bit shaky, if that fear leads you to seek refuge with Allah, leads you to put your trust in Allah, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But if that fear leads you to then try and do acts of worship to them, acts of obedience to them, then it falls into the haram type of fear. And just to illustrate, in Surah Al-Jinn, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions وَمِنَ النَّاسِ, there are men from mankind, those who seek refuge with the men from the jinn. فَزَادُوهُمْ رَهَقًا, and they only increase them in misguidance. What they used to do, brothers and sisters, was that when they were on a journey and they used to stop off at a valley, the man, he used to say, I seek refuge with the jinn of this valley. I seek refuge with the spirit of this valley that he protects me. And so their fear of them led them to do acts of worship, led them to worship, led them to obedience. And so it was haram. But our fear of them, the fear of the unknown, it should bring us closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To summarize this, I don't think there's anybody here who should be feeling scared. Nobody here should be feeling scared. If you feel that there's an apprehension in your heart, trust in Allah. Rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then leave your affairs to Allah Jalla wa ala. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. Astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.